Hey guys, how are y'all today? I just noticed my glasses were dirty, so I'm cleaning them here real quick. So good to see you, Yvonne. Good to see you, Sue and Sherry. Good to see you as well. Yes, I can make out names even if I'm blind. Good to see you, Cindy. So, how many of you all are in the southeast that are getting a nice little snowstorm today down there in Texas and Louisiana? Thankfully, we're not getting that, but we are cold here. It's going to be below it's gonna be around 4 degrees here tonight, I do believe. Good to see you, Jill. Good to see you, Sharon. Jill, are you gonna get snow tonight? That's a question. Depends on what part of Florida you're in, is my understanding. Oh, Jean, if it's cold here, it has got to be freezing cold there. Whew. It has been a little chilly of a week, I will have to say. Although last week was not too bad. And Caroline, did you get some snow in your place? if Are you in the Houston area or the Dallas area? It looked like significant snow. So 55, I could live with that. And that we were almost 60 degrees here last week. So I was very excited about that. And then all of a sudden the weekend came. Boo. Oh man, you got cheated. Bummer. Oh well, it was a once in a lifetime snow down there, I do believe. So they've had quite the experience this morning, especially since, I mean, we don't have the snow removal equipment. They definitely don't have it. So I'm sure it's kind of knocked them down. So Cindy, you're in my neck of the woods today. Good to see you. Have fun. You're getting a little cold down here. So, all right, guys. You had a comfortable walk with sun and 43 degrees. Well, my walk was not comfortable, and it's not going to be this afternoon either. Very, very chilly, and it's clouded up here today. It was a pretty morning, but it's very chilly, very, very chilly. So, okay, guys. The question that came in was about how to use Design Center, not my Design Center on the machine, but Design Center in the PEDESIGN 11 software. So, when do I use it? Well, if I want a totally connected outline of multiple parts and I don't want to map it myself, you want to make it so an embroidery design sews best if the outline doesn't hop from here to here to here to here. Okay. And Design Center allows you to get that without having to do tons of work. I mean, it's kind of what I would say auto digitizing with control. So sometimes I will create the entire design in Design Center, send it over as turn off the outlines first of all, and send it over to layout and editing as an outline. Basically, that gives me the ability to change entry and exit points. Then I'll come back in Design Center, turn off all the fills, and have my totally connected outline and take it over there so it matches up perfectly. But it gives me that capability of picking different stitch types than I have in Design Center. And so the fills can be different than what we have in Design Center simply by sending them over there in outline form. And the outline itself, you send it in fixed stitch format so that it doesn't fall apart and it's one unit. So I'll kind of show you that today. I'm going to use built-in artwork in the software itself. I will tell you, if I'm bringing in artwork, then it's something I will have scanned. I will trace over my image. I will basically put the image down, put a piece of tracing paper or copy paper over the top of it, and trace around it with a Sharpie. And then I will scan that in at 100 DPI. That gives you your best, cleanest image to start working from. If I have computer generated artwork, I don't necessarily have to do that. But one of the things I will tell you is you don't want big, thick outlines because it makes your life more challenging. And I'll show you that as well as the reasoning behind that. Now, this is something that I cover extensively in my workbook, so I'm not going to deep dive into it. I'm going to show you the ways it works, and then you can go from there, okay? Let's see here. Let me share my screen. And if you, in the meantime, if you have questions, please share them. So let's see here. Okay, so we start in layout and editing. This is the easiest way to get to every part of your program. All right. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you have the option pull-down menu, and every part of your program can be reached from that. We'll go into Design Center. So as I said, this is what I consider auto-digitizing with control. It gives me the control to be able to manipulate edit points and make it mine instead of having the software automatically generate everything for me. So we're going to go in. The first part is, how do you want to produce your embroidery? Do you want to open an image file? That's the first piece. Do you want to draw it yourself? Probably not my favorite option. Would you like to put it in point to point? You could do that. Or do you want to open up an embroidery file, a PEM file, personal embroidery make, okay? PEM, personal embroidery make, is what comes in this part of the program. PEL is your line image. I rarely save those, but PEMs I always save. We're going to go from an image file, and then we'll open it up from the folder. So this is from your folder. This is bringing it in from your scanner. This is copying it from the clipboard, and this one is, oh, I'm sorry, I want to use the image that I already have on my screen. We're going to open up an image file. Now, these are located, if I go to my PC and I go to C drive, Program Files, x86, Brother, PEDESIGN 11, and this works the same way in PEDESIGN 10, PEDESIGN Next, Clip Art. So these are the clip art images. Now, if I pick this apple right here, let's go in here in the miscellaneous category. If I pick this one right here, or any in this category, you'll notice that they have big, fat outlines, okay? Those are not optimal to work with. I'm going to show you what happens when I bring one of those in. This would be, I use these in the auto punch in layout and editing. I don't use these through this process because they give you big, thick outlines. If you say detect outlines in preview, you'll notice it's going to have the double outline. If I take that off and instead I come in and I click on the black tile and hit preview, then you'll see your outline. And if I hit the white and hit preview, ooh, I don't want to do that. So that's not optimal for this particular one. But so we'll take off the white and we'll go with just the black outline for now and click OK. Now, the next step is to go to figure handle. And that's where you convert this artwork to a vector file, basically. You can say how big you want the design to be at this point. So if you wanted to put it in a 4x4 hoop, you need it to be under 100 millimeters or 100 millimeters or less. You click OK, and you'll notice that you have two outlines, not optimal. So if I go back to line image and always delete all of the editing, sorry, because you haven't made any changes yet. Let's take that back and make it back to less than 100. We're going to turn that thinning process up to much. And what that does is it thins your outline. Now let's say, okay, you'll notice now I have single outlines there. So that's what your thinning process does for you. It takes thick outlines and thins them down into hopefully a single line. Sometimes you'll get some funky stuff in there and you can adjust it, but you can see that that's what you've got. Now, let's go back to the wizard and we'll go and pick a piece of clip art that we would use for this one. So let's say I come in here to Baby Days. Let's see, what do we got in here? I don't want something real complicated because I don't want to dive too deep into it. How about we grab this one right here, the pacifier. We're not going to save any changes to what we just did. Now this one is pretty simple. We can come in here and take you can zoom in right here and take your eyedropper and click on the black tile. If you happen to click something else, like I got this one right here, take the check mark off of it. Then you click preview and you'll notice that you have a single outline around it. Okay. So then we're going to click OK. The next step, you'll notice this takes you backwards. This takes you forward. Follow the forward arrows. We go to figure handle and we can choose our design, our hoop size right here. So let's say we want to go with 100 by 100, which is your 4x4 hoop. You'll notice now that that size doesn't let me go bigger than 100 millimeters. I'm good with that, actually. And we'll just say okay and see what happens at the defaults. So there's my defaults, not too shabby, right? If I want to finesse it, I go to my View tab and touch Modify Template. That gives me the image behind it. Now, don't get hung up on matching line to line. So it may be slightly shifted, but so if you feel like you have to get it smack dab in the middle of something, you can shift it if you want to. Don't get hung up on that, okay? You'll notice that my red is not attached to this part. Why is that? Because it's not attached in the image. What you're looking for when you click on the black outline is everything that's touching turning red. If it is, you have a totally connected outline. Now, let me make it not totally connected. Let's go back to the beginning. So I'm going to go back and we're going to delete all of our editing. And I'm going to make it mess up. So I'm going to erase a couple of things here. And we'll go to figure handles so that you can see what happens when it's not totally connected. We'll go ahead and say, okay, and there we go. Now, when I touch my outline, you'll notice it's not totally connected. I have this part, and then I have this part, and then I have the red circle that we knew was not connected to begin with. Do I have to go back and fix my artwork? No. Okay. I can connect them here. So I'm going to grab my select point tool and we're going to zoom in down here at the bottom where it's first of all disconnected. So look for where your connections are, where it's not connecting. It'll be the end of whichever line didn't touch. Now we can take this and click on that edit point, click then again and hold, press the Alt key on your keyboard and it turns into a hand. I'm holding the Alt key down. If you drag it on top of another edit point, see that edit point on that line right there? Can you tell how it turned red? When I let go of my mouse, I have not let go of the Alt key, but when I let go of my mouse, that's now attached, okay? So let's go up to the other side here. Well, I need to add a point here in order to be able to attach this to that point. So once again, click on the end of your line, press the Alt key down and drag it on top. And you'll see how it turns red. When it turns red, let go of the left mouse button, not of the Alt key. Once you've attached it, then let go of your Alt key. So let me come back over here and see. Questions so far? So far, pretty simple, right? Okay. So now you want to finesse this. How do I finesse it? Well, we don't have a percentage zoom. So what I have learned is that at my highest zoom level, I want them to be about an inch apart. So if I click until it beeps at me, once it beeps at me, it's not going to zoom anymore. Then I can come in and make these about an inch apart. Do I sit here and get anal retentive about it? Not so much. But I will eyeball it. Now, if you want, once again, you can turn on your template. I like it light in the background there, but I don't get hung up on making it match it exactly. What I want to do is I'm looking more at the shape itself than I am about, am I matched up with that line? Because nobody's going to see that line in the end. It's not going to be there at at the end of your embroidery design. You will never know whether you matched it up exactly or not. But you're trying to make your shape. And yes, I do touch every line. This takes me, once you get used to this, it takes you very little time. When you're first starting, it'll take you a bit of time because on straight lines, I will add points. Now, if you add too many, you will override the stitch length. So I have learned this is your little trick, about an inch apart at your highest zoom level. Now, around curves, sometimes you need more in order to make that curve. So once again, don't get so hung up on that it needs to be about an inch apart, but you want to make your shape, okay? So here we go. And we're about halfway through this design now. If you want to delete a point, right mouse click on it and choose delete. Now, if you want, you can also see a reference window. Your reference window is this. So it lets you see how you're doing as you go along. It also lets you move around your design. So if I move this right there, it moves my actual, my field of work to that spot. But it also lets you see how you're doing over there. And you can just simply move around your screen with that reference window. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. But that will give you an overall idea of how you're doing with your design. And once you've got all this done, you'll be ready to move on to put stitches to it. But before we do that, we'll go ahead and just send our outline over once we get this ready. But it's a whole lot easier to move a point than it is to manually draw every outline. I will sit here and tell you that. So if I'm trying to get a perfect running stitch design that runs with one continuous outline, this is my go-to because it is fairly painless and it makes your life a little bit easier. So I think my outline there looks pretty good. Let's see if we need to give any attention to the center here. So you'll notice that when I have that outline behind it, I am more attuned to it as opposed to just clicking and going. So it's the upside and downside of putting your outline there. My dog is just a snoring here next to me. She's very comfortable this afternoon, evidently. That looks pretty good. Let's pull that up here a little bit and pull that way. Okay, so now I think I'm ready to say we're done. And so let's go here and close this window, go to our figure handle window and zoom out and see if we like it. So now if you hit your select tool and you click on the whole thing, everything turns red. That means we're golden, except for the center part because it is not connected. Okay, so let's touch two sew settings. All right, now you get to pick your colors. So if you click on your thread spool, it will bring a drop down menu for you to pick a color. So let's say we wanted to put this light peach there. Once you pick that color, this pops up. All right, so these are your thread choices and these are your sewing attributes. Before I do this, let's do our outline first, okay? So that way we can get this ready to send. That way we don't have to take out our outline. So we're going to choose light all, which means I want everything to be the same outline color. And it's going to be a running stitch. So in Design Center, you have zigzag stitch, running stitch, and triple stitch. I'm going to go with a running stitch. It's going to run 2 times by default. If you want a triple stitch instead, you could certainly select that. And then click on it. So notice it's got red ants dancing around what you just clicked on, which means you need to click on that center piece as well. Now, let's send that to layout and editing. So if we were going back to fix something, you can go back to figure handle. You can go back and forth between these 2 stages. We're going to send that on to layout and editing. And if you look here, our options are as stitches or as outlines. We are going as stitches for your outline stitch. So we'll say import, there it is. Okay, and I am in an 8 by 8 inch. Oh, no, I'm actually even bigger than that. So let's go back to the default hoop. All right, so there's that part of the design. Let's go back to Design Center. Here we are. Now, we've got our region tool selected, and let's click on that area. If you right mouse click, it will once again bring up that properties window. Is on another screen for me. So it brings up your properties window. This allows you to adjust your direction. Here's a key thing for you to know. If you hit realistic preview, you can't make any changes while you're in your preview modes. If I'm in preview mode, I can't make any changes. So in order to get out of that, you either need to hit your escape key or click back on it. So that's realistic preview. If I hit escape, I'm out of it. Preview, escape, I'm out of it. That allows you to make your changes. So you can come in and change your direction if you want. One thing I will sit here and tell you, you do not want everything to go 45 degrees. The difference between Design Center and Layout and Editing is when you make a change, you have to click on the area to apply it. In Layout and Editing, you select the area, make the change, and it will automatically apply. That is different here. All right, so let's see here. What color do we want? Oh, we can simply hit our color tab over here, and let's say we want to make this pink. So now I need to click to fill it. It is going to keep the last property that you did. So right now I've got them both going the same direction. If I want them going a different one, I rotate it, click back on the area, and look at it and see if I like it. And then the last color, what do we want? I'll pick a blue. Okay, so that one, you might want a variable stitch because it's in a circular area. You might want it variable. Ooh, no, I don't like that because look how that did that right there. Ugh. So I would go back to a straight and pick a direction. Now, undersewing, I've selected by default. It is just the regular crisscross undersewing. You can change the density of that for each section if you want to. For now, we're going to leave it alone. But we're going to go back to our outline, line all, and we're going to change it to not sewn because we've already sent our outline over there, and we're going to turn off the outlines. Okay? And then we're going to send that to Layout and Editing. This time, instead of as stitches, we're going to send it as outlines. That allows us to make changes to it in Layout and Editing. So I will import that now. Obviously, they're in the wrong order. So I'm going to select this one and have it to sew last because I would want my outline to sew last. Now, let's say I want to play with this. I don't want it to be a fill stitch. I want it to be a concentric circle stitch. Now, instead of just having fill stitches and satin stitches and motifs, I've got all of my stitches available to me. I can make it a flexible spiral. I can make it a cross stitch. I can, although you don't have quarters and halves, so that's not optimal, you can make it a stippling stitch. You can make it a net fill stitch. You have different options that are available to you here. But I'm going to select fill stitch, and then I'm going to tell it, I want to see how it starts to sew. We'll go back to what we were, it was a fill stitch originally. We've left it at that. Let's watch that sew and see what happens with it. In Design Center, it usually starts sewing at the low point in that area. So if your low point is right here, which is where it is, that's where it starts stitching. So it will start and it's going to go across and back, and it will end at that point as well. So it's going to come, if history serves me well, it's going to go across and it will stop at that low point. Oh, actually, that one did well. It went all the way across. Usually it will stop and come back in the middle. So that's what I usually watch for here, is to see where the design stops and starts. This did perfect. Oh, but see how it started right there. And so I'm going to have a little connection there. Maybe not where I want it, but let's see what happens with this one. Oh, that one I don't like where it starts and stops, but let's see if we can change that one. So let's go to Select Point tool and click on this area. It's starting down here and it's ending down here. We don't have an outline, so let's zoom in, or it does have an outline, but let's turn off. I don't want to see that one. So now we can just look at this with the Select Point tool, or the entry and exit. Now we can see region 1, R1 and R2. So R1 is where it's going to start sewing. R2 is where it's going to finish. Let's see what happens if we change them both to there. Let's watch that area sew. I'm going to go fast. I'm going to fast forward it here. I kind of like the way that one did better, but you can try and play with it. See if you would rather change it to something else. Your other option is to switch that to a different stitch type. So you could change that one, might be fun as a concentric circle. I kind of like that. And then you've got your, we can turn our outline back on to where we can see it. So that gives you those options to play with and lets you adjust things based off of that. Okay. But that's why we use it. That is the easiest way I can explain it, is that it gives you that totally connected outline and it gives you that capability of playing with it after you get it over there without messing up the outline itself, which is the key. Okay, guys, next question. I don't remember if anybody else asked one while I was gone or not. It has been a couple of weeks of travel, and you know me with travel. The first week we had Snowmageddon here, so we went to do videotaping in Memphis, in Bartlett, and ended up leaving on Thursday instead of Friday because Snowmageddon came on Friday, overnight, Thursday night. And in this area, if you're expecting more than an inch, you are dead. So we left and got out of there, and Bartlett got almost 8 inches. So they had quite the snow. We had about 4, so 3 to 4, nothing big. Guys, I'm waiting. Questions? A photograph into embroidery. Yes, I can. So, all right. Let me preface that with, this is a PEDESIGN item. Depending on which version of PEDESIGN depends on how it's going to work a little bit. There are some new features, functions, the way it works in 11 versus next. And I don't remember 10, to be honest. I'd have to go back and see if it works the same way. I think they tweaked it just a little bit. We are going to talk about PhotoStitch. I'm not going to try to give you a lesson on how to shade and bring in your photograph and try to create your own. I'll do PhotoStitch, but the other one is more of a lesson than most people want. Okay. Fran, it depends on what hoop you were doing. Why don't you, let me come back in and show you that in just a second. Let me do PhotoStitch first. Okay. So first thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to go to your image tab. PhotoStitch works best in your largest hoop that you have available to you. Usually I create my PhotoStitch in a jumbo frame to where I stitch it on my 10 needle. But, you know, with the coming of the Avenir, we'll have that has a bigger hoop. So that would be the biggest hoop we have, which would be 11 by 18, 11 5/8 by 18 1/4, I believe it is. PhotoStitch one color. Let's go. I don't know if I have any great photos on my PC, but let me see what I've got. Sometimes I have some on here, sometimes I don't. Okay, let me see. None of those are really, this one might. We'll try it. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is look at the photograph and decide what is it that's important about this photo? Is it the people or is it the background? If it's the people, then crop it into the people. So I'm going to basically crop in to where I get my people. And I don't necessarily need all of their bodies. So, oops, I meant to pull that in, not take it up. But there we go. All right, so you also have this thing called a clipping mask where it will automatically try to clip around them. I don't like to do that, and I'll tell you why, because you're going to notice you're puckering and stuff more if you do that versus just going ahead and cropping in and getting that background in there with them. If it's a good contrast, you're good. And then you're going to click the image tune button. You want to sharpen your image up just a little bit. Usually one click will do it. You may want to brighten it up. And then click OK. Now let's go next. And I'm going to choose my hoop size here. So I'm going to go into design settings and I'm going to pick me a big hoop. So let's try my 10 by 10 inch hoop and we'll say OK. And then I fit it to page to where it will max out that area. Okay, this is my magnetic frame. It will give me a nice stable area to embroider it in. So that's a good one for me to choose to try. And then we're going to click next. Now, just saying my stepmother would probably kill me right now because I'm using her picture, hers and Dad's picture. All right, the last thread chart I used was one that I've created called Grayscale. I'm going to come down here and pick something that has more colors. We'll choose the Pace Setter Pro colors first. You're going to take your detail to fine and update that preview, and then you are going to take your run pitch down and take it as short of a stitch as you can get it. The shorter the stitch, the better. Okay, and you can see it gets sharper as you go. I'm going to change my thread colors up to about 15 and update that preview. So now I'm getting closer to what I want. Let's try a different color palette. Now let's come down here and let's see what it does with Isocord. That green is really kind of interfering, isn't it? Let's see what it does with Robeson Anton Rayon. All right, now I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. Yeah, let's go back to. There we go. That's not too shabby. And I mean, in general, I will sit here and tell you, I go in and chiclet their teeth in a program. So let me show you what I would do. Let me open Paint Shop Pro here. Okay. So depending on what photography program you have, depends on what you're going to do. I am going to do edit. It's been a while since I've played in this, and we're going to open up a file. And once again, let me find those pictures. It was on my D drive. Okay, so let's crop it. We'll just go ahead and crop it here. Okay, so now this is what I tend to do. I will come in with a paintbrush and I'll choose the color white and no outline. Let me find my mouse. And we're just going to paint their teeth. Let's zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to make my size a bit bigger so I don't have to do as much work. Ooh, way too big. Let's make it 12. Yes, this is totally cheating. And I will go ahead and do the same thing with their eyes. We're going to make them look like demonic people here for a minute. And then I will come in and I will give them the color of eyes that they have. All right. Cheating, totally cheating. Honestly, I don't know what color eyes we have there. We'll go with green. Just so it picks this up. It's not going to do it exactly like what I've got in here. We're just trying to pick it up so that it understands that we want that to be a color, definitive color. Then I will go to image and let's see here. Where is that? Effects, adjust. Which one is it? It's hue saturation. Nope, that's not what I want. There's somewhere in here, there's a way to make this photo warm. And that's usually what I will do, is make it warm the photo up. And my brain is not getting there right now. Bum. I swear it's right here. Smart Photo Fix. We'll try that. There we go. And we'll just say okay. Now let's save it. I'm going to save it as enhanced. Although not really enhanced, is it? So we're going to save that. Okay. Now let's come back over here to our PEDESIGN. And let's try it again. We'll cancel that one and we will PhotoStitch color and we will pick a new image. Open an image and we're going to do that same one. And here's the enhanced version. Okay. So now let's see what we get. We'll go back and I'm going to take this back down a little bit. We're going to leave it sharpened up a little bit and then we'll go ahead and say next. And we're going to fit it to the page and let's see what happens here for us. All right, let's see. Where's my mouse? All right, once again, let's go up to 15 colors, update our preview, sharpen the picture up, take it all the way down to 2.0 and hit update preview. Now, I'm going to change my thread color brand to Isocord. And we're going to brighten that photo up a little bit. So you get the idea. I may have gotten a little excited about the chiclet teeth. She needed some lips, but you get the concept. I may want to add in a color. So if I touch add and I go into Isocord polyester, she had on a purple blouse. So let's see what happens if I add purple in and update the preview. There you go. So that gave me that extra color that I needed, that I wanted to pick up, that wasn't picking up. And let's see here. Let's add blue and see if that'll go into my dad's eyes or not. Let's find a blue. See what that does for us. Okay. And then you say finish. Now, obviously, if you're paying attention and you play around with your colors a little bit, you may get a better result. But overall, that's not too shabby. I would tell you that you generally want to look at it in regular preview, not realistic, because realistic is going to be very thick looking on the screen, and it doesn't actually stitch like that. It stitches more like the previous look. But we can go to our view tab and we can do realistic thread settings and change that thread down to thin, and it's going to look more like what you're trying to see. You can also brighten it up a little bit here. This is not changing anything about the way it stitches. It's just letting you see, am I going to like this before I actually send it over there? And yes, I could live with that. Okay. Then you say you're done and you're ready to stitch it out. So that is, it is totally photo dependent though, guys. It is totally photo dependent. That would not necessarily be one I would have normally picked for this. Usually I pick a subject that is going to really pop. My nieces, I've done their photos and they turn out great. But it's photo dependent. You don't want to pick a blonde-headed child on a white beach with white waves coming in behind them and try to get it all. Okay. You're going to pick the child in that picture. So, it does need some contrast in there, but that will work. Okay. So let's see here. Fran, so you're only getting Husqvarna format when you export. How do you change that? So when you go up here and you choose export, you're only seeing Husqvarna. You should see all of these. I'd have to see what you were doing to where you only got that. But I will sit here and tell you your best options for exporting are DST and EXP. They're going to be funky colors, but those are the most easily read files from anywhere. You could also, if you're not seeing it there, it may be because they don't have that hoop size capability. Let me see here. So let's say perhaps I picked the jumbo frame. Let's do that same photograph and we'll do it in the jumbo frame. One of my favorite ways to do photos, though, is black and white. Here, look here how much different this one looks, guys. Same photograph, okay, but a bigger size. Look at the difference in it. You can select from candidates. It sometimes takes forever and you can't really tell on. Oops, yep, I killed it. I killed it. I don't know which one I did of Angela, to be honest. I've slept since then, evidently. Image tab, PhotoStitch, color. Go back to that one. Ooh, hello. We're green right now. Let's go back to increasing our colors. 15 usually is plenty. And then I added in what? Oh, those were those were Artspira. Those were not embroidery. Those were Artspira AI things. So yes, those were quite fun. And I added in a blue too, right? Those were a blast, I will have to say. That's a totally different process. There you go. So now she's got purple, he's got blue eyes, she's got green eyes. We're finished. But the bigger is better. It does make a difference. So for that one, we probably could have done it in the Avenir hoop and easily made that work. So, but what I wanted to see is what my export options were once I hit this. That was the key. That was what I was going for. Give it just a second. All right, so let's go. Boy, that looks dark. Guess I should have lightened the photo up just a little bit. There we go. All right, so let's go File, Export, and let's see what formats we get now. No, I still show them all, so I'm not sure what you've got going on. I will sit here and tell you that the Janome will not split well because it does not have that hoop size. The Janome are the two that I would say are probably not your best options. Singer is going to do it in 3 parts. These are universal generally, except for Janome. Janome reads Janome. But these are pretty universal right here. Okay. I think that is good. Okay. Yeah, those Artspira ones were a blast. That's the Artspira AI. You never know what you're going to get, but it is kind of fun. So for those of you that had the PR1X, the PR1X manual has come out. Okay, there is, so if you were waiting on that, that is available now. If you didn't notice, last week there was an update for Artspira last Thursday, and that gave you new cutting layout options. So let's say you had you wanted to do 10 clovers and you didn't want to divide them up to maximize it. It will automatically separate them for you on the map for you instead of you having to manually place them. It lets you get more on a mat, and if it needs to go to another mat and another mat, it will continue placing those on there for you. Let's see, maybe I can share my screen here. We'll have to use my iPhone today because I do not have my iPad up here. I actually crashed and burned it last week. So let's see here. Get out of that and open up Artspira. And then let me share my screen. Come on. Yes, allow. Okay, guys. Let me minimize the demon people. All right, that's good enough. Here we go. So let's say I go new and I choose cutting, design editor. If I come in and add, and let's say I want to go into celebrations, I have no idea what's in here. Let's see what balloons we've got. All right, here's a set of balloons. And I say done. Let's say I want, oh, those are big. So let's shrink them down. Let's make them smaller. And let's just duplicate them. I'm going to say we'll put 10 of them on here. So now when I tap and I say done and I don't save it, oh, well, come on, Patty, you're making, let me undo. You are correct. I need to share my screen. Thank you. Hold on. Hold on. Let me share screen. How about that? So I'm going to go home. This is where we started here. I'm going to touch new and I'm going to choose design editor. Okay. And I'll touch add and we'll go down here to celebrations and let's go to balloons. And let's say I want to do this balloon right here. I can take it and then I can shrink it down to the size I want it. And then I can say duplicate. And instead of tiling and only being able to go 2 across and 2 down or 3 down, let's see, now I'm stuck, right? I'm going to take it back down to 1, go to number, and I'm just going to put 10 of these on here. Now when I say okay and I say done, I'm not going to save it, but you'll notice how it's maximized them on my space. So cut options, you can say as is. That would not be what we want to do because as is, it's going to cut them all on top of each other. Auto layout, which is going to lay them out regardless of color. So if it was a multicolored item, that's probably not what you want to do. But for this one, that would be fine. By color, you're going to see your color, but that would not be the way you want to do it because it's by color, the way it was laid out originally. And then auto layout by color. Now it's going to have all of the colors. Now I'll show you one that works with to where you can see what I mean. And by area, it's just the same thing. So it does not show that here. So I'm going to cancel that, and we're going to cancel and discard. Let me bring one in that kind of shows you the others. If I do add, and let's go into animals here, and I'll just pick something that makes sense here. How about this? No, I don't want to deal with all that. So hold on. Design editor, add. I'm going to pick one of the ones I favorited. So this flower. Actually, we'll do this one, even though it's going to make me do a couple of things I don't want to. So I'm going to select it. And then I'm going to go into select again and group, and we're going to ungroup. Now let's see how good I am. I'm going to try to get it to where I can just grab. I'm going to tap off of all these pieces. So I got to select. This is where it gets tricky. Oh, undo. Select all. I'm better at this on my iPad than I am on my phone. Okay, so now I can group the pieces that are that have the blue around them. All right, now I'm going to select all again. This time I'm going to tap off of the green one and off of the center piece, and we're going to group the yellow piece. Now everything is individually grouped. So I'm going to layout, reset it to center. Then I'm going to say done, and I'm going to layout, reset it to center, and done, and then layout. Select it. Oh, no, reset to center, sorry. Layout, reset to center. So now this is my design in its but Joyce, it wasn't under the flowers tab. It was in my favorites. Your favorites show up regardless. Okay. So now if I say done and I don't save it, let's say I want to cut that out, everything out of the same color of HTV. Well, that right there is not going to do it for me because holy mackerel, that would be a pain in the patootie to try to put back together, right? So this would be one that I would choose as is if I wanted it all cut out of one color of anything, okay? If I went auto layout, that's going to just be alphabet soup. That's not one I want to do that with, right? That would be, those balloons are more suited to that. By color, that is going to separate it the way I would want it separated, okay? So you can see that that would actually work pretty well if I were trying to get those in the 3 different parts. If I do auto layout by color, that's not what I want either because that's just maximizing your space on your mat based off of color. If you do auto layout by area, once again, it got them all on the mat, but not the way you want it to do. So let's say we select all here again. And I'm going to group the whole kit and caboodle back together here. Now, let's say we come in and we say, tap that, duplicate, and we have, and I'll spread these out this time. Okay. I'm not going to save it. So that's your first one. That is, that's actually the last thing I tried. Auto layout by area. Not what I want to do. Oops. I didn't have to go all the way back. As is, everything's going to be cut out of one color of one thing. Auto layout is going to be alphabet soup and everything gets thrown on there. Not what I want to do for there. By color, That is something I would use. Okay, it keeps it on the space in its place. Auto layout by color, not something you want to do because once again, putting that back together would be a pain. And the auto layout by area would not be what you want to do because it would get them all on the map, but not where you want them to go. Now, when might I use that other one? So let's see here. Let's cancel and discard that. Let's say I come in here and I do design editor, new. Oh, what have we got? Yes, ignore. My favorites are going to show up regardless. Let's say I have these. I'm going to shrink it. And I'm going to duplicate it. Oh, duplicate. Now, I did not take these and separate them. I'm not going to save them. You'll notice that that has laid them out in the maximum place that they can go. Now, problem with that one is those little dashed lines, they should have stayed where they were. So that's not what we want. That was auto layout by area. As is, they're all going to be sitting on top of each other. Auto layout's not one we want to do. By color, let's see what that does. Nope. Because it, once again, that separated things out. Auto layout by color. There you go. Oh, no, those dashed lines. Huh, interesting. Wonder where those dashed lines are supposed to be. Let's go back and cancel this and see. Oh, they're supposed to be in the middle. So in order to make that not happen, you'd need to separate those. So bad choice. Anyhow, it's something for you to play with and get an idea. Okay. Let's see here. Your magazines aren't showing up. And you're looking right here. What have you tried reloading? So these are the collections of the month. These are the new projects that just came out. So it looks like they're stenciling this time. Yep, they're stenciling this time and they're painting in the stencils. But I would say, Patty or Sharon, go in and delete your app and reload it and see what happens. It seems like something did not, if yours are not showing up, something did not get loaded. Okay. That does not make sense at all. Truly. I'm not sure what has, and tech support hasn't been able to figure it out. And it's both on your iPhone and your iPad. I mean, I have 3 different, I work on multiple devices and it shows up on all of mine. So something is weird with your device, I would say. I'm wondering if it's not letting you access, maybe it's in your permissions. That's all I can think of. Anyhow, okay, guys, that's today, what I've got for you today. So what did we do? We did Design Center, we did PhotoStitch, and we did Artspira updates. So I'll go back in and mark down that we did, okay? So I'm thinking it's a permissions thing. Go in and look at your Artspira permissions and see if something may be off. Let me see if I go into, let's see here, settings, permissions. Boy, they've changed this. Huh. So let me see here. Let's see here. Let's try Artspira. See what apps are available here. Okay. See, double check and see what you've got in there. So like I have limited access to my photos. Take a screen capture of what I've got here because mine works and maybe that will help you out. But basically mine are all toggled on here. So check your check your permissions there and see if that makes any difference. Otherwise, I don't have a whole lot of ideas. Yeah, I mean that would be the only thing I can think of. I'm looking to see if there's anything else. You know. So that's what I would look for. Okay. And see, I mean that's the best I have to offer right now. So weird. All right, guys, y'all have a great rest of your day. I will hopefully see you next week. You have a great time. We'll talk to you later. Bye.